What's going on, Energy family? Welcome to the first installment of the Light Warriors Academy. I've been wanting to make this show for a while. I love doing research. I love those truther videos in the past with all the red pill content before I kind of moved past it. And I've been actually missing some of this deep dive research in our community, talking about all the things that make us light warriors, talking about the light body, meditation, yoga, the Schumann resonance, like today's episode topic. So thank you for being here with me. If you care to join the Army of Energy, then hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Telegram at t.me/Army of Energy chat. And also, we're starting to put out a lot of Instagram content, so you can check us out at Army of Energy. And if you'd like to donate to our work and help us build up the forces within our Army of Energy, then our PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App links are down below. Today's episode is going to be on the Schumann resonance. We often talk about it, we often hear about it, but many people kind of only have a glancing understanding of what it is. So today we're going to go into a little bit of a deep dive, explaining what it is, where it came from, how it's affected, and some of the anomalies we've been seeing a lot of. And so we're just going to jump right into it today. I really appreciate you all being here with me. What is Schumann resonance and how is it connected to human consciousness? I pulled this from learning-mind.com, and we're just going to read a little bit into this article. It goes into the history of the Schumann resonance and everything in between. So the Schumann resonance may not only affect the Earth, but it can also align or implement changes in human consciousness, which is what we're always interested in. So the Schumann resonance is called the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And by some, the Earth's vibration; by others, it's a frequency measuring at 7.83 hertz. It's an electromagnetic frequency of our planet, and this can increase or decrease throughout the day and throughout the weeks and months. So let's get a better understanding of what it is. Something I want to jump in real quick also is talking about how the heart is the first organ to form in the body. And the circadian rhythm, which is what your heartbeat goes by, is produced by the sun. A lot of people think the brain is the first organ, but it's not. It's the heart. And then the brain forms through the vagus nerve and the spinal column. And a lot of people don't know this about the heart. The heart sends the brain, right, 90% of its signals and not the other way around. So the heart is actually the organ that's kind of dictating our entire experience and form. And it's the one organ that we often discount when talking about thinking and making decisions and living. And another interesting fact about the heart is that there's 48,000 neurons in the heart. That's how sometimes your heart wants to go in one way and your brain wants to go the other. It doesn't matter how logical you are at times. Sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants, because in reality, that's really you, and that's your heart wanting what it wants. So we're going to understand the Schumann resonance some more, right? It starts with electrical storms. These are more than just spectacles and frightening events. An electrical storm generates lightning, which creates electromagnetic energy. Electromagnetic energy has both electricity and magnetism. So does our vessels. So does our bodies. And another thing, when at 7.83 hertz, which is the resonance of the planet, that's alpha brainwave state. That's why when we're in nature, we're camping, or we're away from all this technology like 5G towers, these cities with all this noise and all this cacophony and all this stuff, we feel at ease. We feel a lot less anxious. We feel like we need a lot less coping mechanisms to help us reach that homeostasis that we're looking for. And it's because we're resonating with the planet, which is our natural conscious brainwave state. A lot of times we find ourselves in beta B brainwave, which is fight or flight, and even beta A, which is hypervigilant. Not hypervigilant, but vigilant. This energy, circling as a wave between the ionosphere and the Earth, bumps into itself, amplifying frequencies and turning them into resonant waves. The discovery of these resonant waves was made in 1952 by W.O. Schumann, a German physicist, hence where Schumann resonance gets its name. In simpler terms, we don't live on Earth, we live inside of it, in a cavity of sorts. This cavity is created by the connection of the surface of the Earth to the ionosphere. that surrounds our planet. Everything within that area, namely energies and frequencies, can be influential to the Earth's inhabitants. So let's look up what is the Earth's ionosphere real quick. This is the ionosphere. This is this purple part right here. I'm guessing this is where we shoot our radio towers in this part, and the ionosphere, I guess, is what separates it. The ionosphere is part of Earth's upper atmosphere, between 80 and about 600 kilometers, where extreme ultraviolet and X-ray solar radiation ionizes the ionosphere, thus creating a layer of electrons. The ionosphere is important because it reflects and modifies radio waves used for communication and navigation. Other phenomena, such as energetic charged particles and cosmic rays, also have an ionizing effect and can contribute to the ionosphere. The impacts are radio communication, radio navigation, GPS, and satellite communication. All right, so that would make sense. So what I'm gathering is basically this part is where we push radio waves through. And then this is where our satellites are and our GPS is. And so this went up in the 70s. Radio went up in the 1916, 17. And so it's like almost, we had in the 1860s, I believe, is when the first telegraph wires were set up, which would be against the Earth. And then we had radio waves, which went into this part. And then now we're up to GPS and satellite, which is the ionosphere. And so the Schumann resonance, and when solar activity occurs, it affects radio communication, navigation, and satellite comms because it's affecting the ionosphere, like they were saying here. What's also interesting about this story over here was W.O. Schumann wrote about the resonance of the planet that he had measured in a really tiny German scientific article, little scientific journal. So in the 70s, they did the first EEG, right? And they were able to measure the brain waves of our brain, or the frequency of our brain waves. And the guy who did it, I think he was an American scientist. I think he might have been a grad student, and I think he might have been in California near Berkeley. He had read about Schumann's discovery in the 1950s, talking about the resonance of the planet being 7.83 hertz. And then when they did their first EEG study and they found that alpha brainwave state, or the normal brainwave state of humans, is 7.83 hertz, he made the correlation, and that's how this whole thing came to be. And he named it the Schumann resonance after this guy. Mother Earth's natural energies. Although the frequency can spike up or down, the Schumann resonance primarily levels off at the same measurement. Until lately, frequencies have been lingering around 8.5 hertz and even as high as 16. And now we've been seeing in the last year, say just this year alone, we've been seeing 70, 140, 600. It's coming, and it's pretty intense. There are factors that cause the fluctuation of the Schumann resonance. Influencers such as seasonal changes, solar flares, and electronic interference can alter the frequency at any given time. The recent increase in the average frequency could also result of an increase in human activity, maybe even the increase in human brainwave activity. So how is Schumann resonance connected to the human mind? Studies show that this phenomenon may indeed affect human consciousness. As mentioned above, solar flares may contribute to spikes in frequencies as well. And they're saying now, with this Father, Mother, God, with the source light being blasted onto the planet, the photonic energy coming down, you hear all these foo-foo terms and these foo-foo concepts. What it really is it's the solar flares coming from the sun. It's the coronal mass ejections that's pushing all of this radiation into the planet, that's increasing the resonance, the Schumann resonance, which is increasing the vibration of the planet, which is then increasing our vibration. And that's why you're seeing people lose their minds left and right and all this stuff, is because of the energies coming on the planet. It's just, it's creating discombobulations for us inside our own vessels. We already know that increases in electromagnetic frequencies do affect satellites and power grids. So is it possible that we are being influenced as well? Basically, it's a connection we've yet to fully understand. However, signs do point to yes. Vyacheslav Krylov, the Russian Academy of Sciences. Krylov suggests that the Schumann resonance may not only affect telecommunication services, but can also affect melatonin, influencing biological functions such as the circadian rhythm of both animals and humans. Melatonin is the sleep molecule that we release in our brains when we're going into a theta state. When we go from alpha to delta, it's theta's dream state. Delta is like the in-between. They call it a delta brainwave state is like a twilight brainwave state where you're kind of unconscious and kind of conscious. And so that's kind of like you're in a delta state when you're coming up out of sleep and you're kind of still dreaming, and it's almost like lucid dreaming. And so melatonin is what helps you go to sleep. It's the brain releases it and it relaxes your body. You can take it as a supplement. For some people like me, I take melatonin and it actually gives me more energy, but I'm kind of different in terms of supplements, and that's in that regard. And it also regulates blood pressure and reproduction. Go figure, right? So melatonin, which is affected by the Schumann resonance, right? So you have melatonin, which is affected by the Schumann resonance spikes. It regulates blood pressure and reproduction. How crazy. And the circadian rhythm. So the sun, which beats your heart and manages your circadian rhythm, actually produces melatonin. So what if it's the sun's energy, the sun's radiation, the gamma rays coming down on us, helping us produce melatonin? And what if when we're being when we're having trouble sleeping, we're not getting enough sun, so our brain isn't able to produce the melatonin to help us fall asleep? Might be something to look into. The Schumann resonance may be better understood when examining matching vibrations. When a system of oscillators is tuned, one oscillator will affect the other. When one starts to vibrate, the other will eventually vibrate at the same frequency. Now remember, the fact that our brain waves and SR frequencies are in the same range, does this make better sense now? This creates entrainment or kindling. That's like taking a tuning fork and hitting on the table and taking another tuning fork and bringing it close to each other. It would transfer its vibrations to one another and it would pick up the same frequency and tune. This creates entrainment or kindling. The word kindling refers to the matching of neurons across the brain, creating synchronicity. This is the hemisync I've been telling you about. When you listen to oscillating frequencies of tones, it synchronizes the brain hemispheres together. And when your brain is coherent in brainwave frequency, that means that you're both naturally balanced in your creative right brain and you're naturally balanced in your logical left brain, and you're in flow, you're present, you're aware, you're awake. And that's the whole point of hemisync, and doing that hemisync gateway experience is to take us out of beta B fight or flight brainwave patterns, put us into those delta brainwave states so that our bodies can come out of fight or flight and heal, and we can process our memories from the day a lot more efficiently and effectively. Those people with PTSD could really benefit from brain hemisphere synchronization and doing things such as the hemisync gateway experience, which I'll leave the link below. This is the same effect that a successful meditation has on our minds. And what I noticed is when I was healing my PTSD and I did the hemisync, it actually put me into a delta brainwave state nearly immediately. And I didn't have to concentrate on getting there myself. That's not to say that I don't meditate while using hemisync. It's a great tool. And I'm not saying that hemisync actually improved my capacity to meditate on my own. We are in a coherent consciousness, vibrating softly at the same level. With all this being said, meditation keeps our coupling with the Schumann resonance or the fluctuating frequency of the earth. Ample anthropological evidence shows that humans have intuitively synchronized with the planetary resonance throughout human history and back into the mists of time. Many cultures implement vibrational techniques in hope of synchronizing with the frequencies of the Schumann resonance or the heartbeat of Mother Earth. They believe that these frequencies can heal the body and mind as energies connect. Even in the ebb and flow of these energies, high blood pressure is reduced and depression is somehow alleviated. How is depression alleviated? Well, my theory is that we don't have a mental health crisis in this country. We have an inflammation crisis in this country. And if you have high blood pressure, well, then you're obviously pushing more blood into areas that are already inflamed, increasing discomfort and increasing the chances of becoming depressed. If we're always trying to figure out what's going on, why is our life so messed up, because our bodies are actually what's broken and messed up, then the chances of us creating narratives and storylines that aren't actually real or true go way up. And that's what I believe is depression, is when we go down into, say, a rest period and we fret and we freak out and we blame ourselves and we judge ourselves. It's either depression or deep resting. You can choose to deep rest or you can choose to be depressed, but depression is a normal part of life. Some think synchronizing with these energies can lead us to enlightenment or awakening. It's true. With the ever-increasing frequencies of the Schumann resonance, we could be evolving into higher consciousness. Why is that? When the body comes out of fight or flight and we stay in these alpha brainwave states, we open our minds and our bodies up to things we can't see, feel, or truly understand completely. As our bodies come out of fight or flight, we're able to move our consciousness from a 3D dimension of just, I need this and I want that and all these lower chakra instinctual animal-like instincts and needs, into more human beingness, into, I would like to have purpose. I would like to give back. My body feels good now. I want to serve humanity. Where we're getting stuck right now in this crossroads, in this braids of time, is that everyone's trying to serve humanity without yet first serving themselves. And without this vessel being cleared and balanced, we won't get where we're trying to go. The earth has music for those who listen. And they say every planet, it's called Music of the Spheres. I'm going to do a research video on that too. Every planet has its own sound, its own vibratory frequency it pushes out that actually is its music. In Mars, you should use, Mars sounds like literally like Star Wars music. It's pretty crazy. What we know about our consciousness connection with the Schumann resonance is complex. While we know we are influenced by electromagnetic field, we still have much to learn. I think evolution will be greatly affected by the circling frequencies of the Schumann resonance, increasing activities of the brain, and possibly healing aspects of our consciousness previously damaged by negative energy. The future will help us understand more about our relationship with our planet and the frequencies we share. Sherry Hurd crushed that article. Thank you, Sherry. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next thing now. So how do we read this chart? Now, this is the galacticage.org. It tracks the Schumann resonance, and it does a really good job of explaining the nuances of it so that we can get a better idea of what we're looking at. There are different observatories placed around the world that follow this, but the main one is located in Siberia, Tomsk Science University. And so we're right now on Central Standard Time in the US, which means it's a 12-hour difference. When you look at this is pretty much the vibration of the planet, right? And what I've been told about these green energies is these green energies are like the darkness being purged. So every time you see these green energies, like a lot of them and really high, it means that the darkness is being purged. It's the negative energy. It's the lower vibrations being pushed off planet. The white is when a massive amount of Father, Mother, Source, love light comes into the planet through CMEs, coronal mass ejections, or solar flares and solar storms. You got to understand that the universe has a central sun. They say that this is basically what Source or God is just the element of light, love that makes everything kind of keep going in a circle. What is that equation? It's called the Fibonacci sequence. It's the same thing, as above, so below, right? Law of correspondence. So the Fibonacci sequence, it basically explains how nature works and how it recreates itself and how it expands. And if you look at the Fibonacci sequence, which is the spiral, you'll see it in our double helix in our DNA. You'll see it in hurricanes. You'll see it in flowers. You'll see it in beehives. You'll see it in seashells. You'll see it in the way galaxies are set up. The universe is set up. It's all in a spiral. We're always spiraling up. And so Father, Mother, God, as the central source light energy cloud in the center of our universe, pretty much gives commands then to all the different suns, all his different sons, right? His different offspring, which are just stars, the stars that are then have the star systems around it and the planets around them. And so our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, has a central sun as well. So you got to think Father, Mother, God pushes love light to the galactic sun. The galactic sun pushes love light to our sun. Our sun then transmit that information through solar flares, CMEs, coronal mass ejections, solar storms, that then gets radiated down onto our planet, raises the frequency of the earth, raises the resonance so that even our consciousness is raised, so that we can then absorb that light, that information, that knowledge into our DNA, which is then unlocked. That's why it's so important that we be doing these positive things for ourselves, walking through our shadow, eating the right foods, drinking plenty of waters, getting electrolytes in us, because as this radiation is coming down onto us, it's able to unlock our DNA so we can hold more of that light. And as the star seeds, way showers, and light workers, we are the ones then as literal radio towers or light towers, anchoring that light into Gaia so that then she can heal and raise her vibration. And so when we're always talking about the Schumann resonance and why we're like, sometimes we lose our minds, or sometimes we're super happy, or sometimes it looks like it's 8D on the planet, and sometimes it looks like we're back in 3D. It's all what's happening with the energies coming onto the planet. It's literally messing with our experience with the hologram, and it's changing the way we think, feel, and act. But I noticed through my healing, and I noticed as I've gone through my own ascension, that the more you heal, the healthier you become, the more you let go of those illusions that are holding us back. That's the carbon in our DNA. The less you're affected by these energies. But I'll tell you, some days, woof, it's still pretty rough. So white means it's more intense electromagnetic energy burst. That's what I'm saying. So when you see white, that's kind of like, I call it pulsing. It's basically Father, Mother, God going, love, love. And we're like, like the whole time. And then the green is basically the white's coming in and the green's going out. Green is normal and blue is low intensity. That's what they believe it is. I believe it's different, but it's all up to interpretation. These are the hertz. So as far as these stretch, right, this is how intense that blast was. And I've seen them up to 700, 600 this year. Average is going to be right here. This is around the average. This little guy. But look where we've been at. Look where we've been at. And this is from February 4th, 2020. I'm going to go into the actual Schumann resonance of, this July 28th. It's 27th. Let me go into that here in a little second. I just want to give you guys a better understanding of what the Schumann resonance is all about. These signals couple us to the Earth's magnetic field and are also thought to be inversely influenced by the mass emotions and some of human consciousness. So during 9/11, when it all went down and in America kind of came together and everybody was thinking about that one thing, they actually saw a spike in the Schumann resonance because of the human consciousness actually increased. So these are the human brain waves I was telling you about. Schumann resonance waves in the Earth's magnetic field overlap with our brain waves. And so the gamma waves, this is when you take psychedelics or you have a spiritual experience, you get into the gamma brainwave state, which is your brain starts moving so fast that you basically can see past the veil of 3D reality. And everything slows down. It's the same idea when you're in a near-death experience. It's the same idea when you're almost getting in a car accident, everything slows down and it's like you're able to move. It's your brain, it's your processor, right? Because we're literally projecting our experience into the hologram and it's being reflected back to us. And we're just kind of, it's almost like a white room with VR goggles on and we're all just kids just bumping into one another. And so you got to think like when the processor speeds up, everything slows down. And when the processor slows down, things may speed up. And so you got your beta, which is your concentration and learning, but your beta B, you have two beta brain waves. You have beta A and beta B. Beta B, fight or flight. Beta A, concentration and learning. Alpha, relaxation and reflection. You're chilling, you're watching TV, you're hanging out, you're doing what you're doing. Your theta is your dreaming and your flow states. It's you're creating. There's a delta brainwave here. They're not. Oh, delta's here. Never mind. Your theta is your dreaming and your low brainwave states. So I'd say your theta is more like you're getting into that dream state. You're starting to get into deeper meditations. You're able to channel guides. You're able to connect with past lives and things like that. And then your delta is when you're deep healing sleep. It's your REM brainwave sleep. So our brain needs to go into a rapid eye movement stage in order to clear the junk out of it from the day. And at that point, our spirits leave through our crown right? Our spirits leave and are attached to us from a silver cord or a silver tether. And that's why they show that picture of when somebody's sleeping and their body's kind of floating up above them. It's because that's literally what happens is your spirit floats up above your actual physical body. Your macabre floats up over your physical body, and your physical body is being completely healed and regenerated and recharged through the rapid eye movement stage, which is every 2.5 hours of deep sleep. But when you're in the alpha brainwave state, which is what a human natural brainwave state is, you're between theta and alpha, which is why those people who can stay present in the now moment seem like they're just like existing, because they really are. They don't have worries. They're not stressing about the past. They're not thinking about the future. They're not worried about their financial situation. They're just there. They're here in the now moment, and there is no worry in the now moment. Beta brainwaves is 12 hertz to 30 hertz. Beta reflects highly active processing. It occurs during normal waking consciousness and outward attention. Slow beta, or beta A, is 12 to 17. Fast beta, or beta B, is 17 to 30, and it's fight or flight and anxiety, which is what a lot of us exist at normally. So you also got to think, if you're drinking 30, 40 ounces of coffee a day, if you're taking pre-workouts, if you're taking in a lot of sugar, you're probably in these these beta B brainwave states all day, and you're probably getting shocked in and out of fight or flight throughout the day, also depending on the music you're watching and the content you consume. And that's why we're so exhausted all the time, is because we're not in one brainwave state throughout the day. We're constantly fluctuating, and it's just too much. Here is the actual talking about space weather. I'm going from the Space Weather Prediction Center, and they're talking about the space weather as it is. And what I like about this one is it shows you kind of like what's happening with our sun, right? So even with our sun, it'll show like an hour of time, a couple hours of time, and it'll even show a lot of times like the solar flares will be blasting out of that you can see. This over here is your coronal mass ejections, which is different than a solar flare, but it still affects the planet. And so from here, you can actually see where the coronal mass ejection points are. These are where the sunspots are. They call these little dark spots are sunspots. And those potentially become solar storms. And here's our aurora forecast. So the planet is at a 21 to 23 degree tilt. And then when we're being blasted, the aurora borealis is basically the ionosphere catching the radiation and creating that beautiful sight in Iceland and Alaska. And then obviously you have your X-rays, which affects us, and your proton flux. And so if y'all want to just follow these, you can go to swpc.noaa.gov, and this kind of shows you more in-depth information and knowledge about what's going on with the space weather. Schumann Resonance today, I'm a big fan of, because it's just a Twitter account. You don't even have to be a part of Twitter to follow it. You just look it up, Schumann Bot, and it'll actually go into what our readings have been over the last couple days. And so we're going to go into this anomaly right here, where parts of it are blacked out. Personally, I believe that's them turning the system off so that we don't know what's going on when something like this happens. Because look how big this is. This is 40, and it's not even at the tip. We don't even know. This tip could go all the way down to 100. So this was the 26th of July, and these were the spikes. So you had a spike at 8 a.m. in Siberia, another one at 11, and then a massive spike that literally lasted 4 hours straight. And I knew a lot of people yesterday that were talking about how they weren't feeling the best, or they weren't, they were lethargic, or they're going through it, or they're in it. Last week I was talking to a bunch of people. All of a sudden this week, I don't hear from anybody. I don't take it personal anymore. I know everybody's in it doing their thing. But when this happens, this is why I like to inform people of this stuff, so you don't blame yourself. I truly believe that the reason we're being so affected by this stuff is because of our own judgment, when we don't have the energy to human like every other human does. We're not normal humans. We're the ones anchoring in this light for the other humans. This is our job right now. Study, inform, let go, release, and give yourself a break, because this shit ain't easy. But as you can see, like, look at all of this resonance. Look at all of this stuff. Look at all of this resonance coming out. And so then we got blacked out over here. So what's going on? And then over here is a good way to finding more charts to look at the fluxes, which they're normally like this. To have these giant spikes is very abnormal. And that's a really great resource, is the Schumann bot, at Schumann bot on Twitter. We're going to look at the anomalies now. So Schumann resonance blackout, right? So when you see these, like those black spike, the one we saw over here, we saw this black spike. So what's that about? So this is talking about 17th of February, 2019. And then they also saw one in 2019. They say it's highly unusual, but it's been happening a lot since 2020. In the past, we've seen SR blackouts for a brief period of time, but never for this long. Many people believe that the SR blackout represents a reset or perhaps a looping of time. Update on the Schumann resonance. Look here, friends. This is the first major reset I have seen overnight now. This pattern is concerning to me. The black vertical line went for 3 hours and came back with no white frequency. Now the new strong red spikes are only in the lower resonance range from 0.5 hertz to about theta. This is delta brainwave range. So no wonder if we all were drained and settling into sleep time zone. So basically, what I'm seeing here is when the planet starts getting blasted, they'll reset the system so that it makes it kind of look like it's normal. It's almost like hitting tear on a weight device. You know what I'm saying? Like grams or stuff like that. You hit tear and it settles it down to 0 grams, even if you were using a bag or something like that to measure it. I believe that's what kind of happens, is it kind of resets it and allows it to look normal, because they really don't want people following this thing. They really don't want people knowing what's happening. I mean, think about why we haven't gone back to the moon. Why would we not go back? We lost the technology. Okay, right. So their second one is called a wave. This brought into a new wave of energy that allowed for upgrades in through sleep. In conjunction with this wave, many of us experience irregular sleep habits. I do. And felt almost forced to take naps at irregular times. I do. Once again, this aligned with many people who felt exhausted and needed to sleep. Irregular times. This is when many upgrades occur. You can read more about the wave in this article. The Schumann resonance looks like a wave. Yeah, because it is a wave. It pulses. Vroom, vroom. Everything's a wave. Vroom, vroom, vroom. And it's all sound. They're saying that there is no light. It's only just sound waves that we are able to create images from, that our eyes are actually picking up sound waves and producing images of them. Schumann resonant whiteouts. Beginning around 8 a.m. Eastern time on March 16th, 2019, there was a complete whiteout. When we see anomalies on the Schumann resonant charts, we see correlations in the energies that people are receiving and experiencing, as well as irregular sleep patterns. As we continue to see an influx of photonic energy, we will also see more and more Schumann resonance whiteouts. In time, this will become the norm, not the anomaly. This is massive. So this is basically just like a whole day of whoa. And we felt a couple of those. This is probably when is this? March 16th, 2019. Schumann resonance spike symptoms. In a government study, it was found that the SR can affect the blood pressure in some people. Wow, that's impressive. Energy sensitives and empaths may particularly feel additional stimuli during Schumann resonance spike. Some people may be feeling the following: tingling in the crown, elation, mild euphoria, increase in conscious awareness, tiredness or sleepiness, dizziness, vertigo, inability to focus, headaches, migraines, short-term memory issues, and lack of hunger. That's my video. That's my Light Warrior Academy's video on the Schumann resonance. I hope it was helpful to you. I know learning about the Schumann resonance for me really aided in my ascension journey, not so much in giving me anything outside myself, but just giving me a little bit of grace, so that when I'm feeling lethargic, or I'm not feeling like myself, or I'm feeling a little bit off, I usually check the Schumann, realize it's spiking, and I just can give myself a break. And that's all this is. And that's all the Light Warriors Academy videos are really going to be about, is y'all are already the masters incarnate. I'm just here trying to show you that you are. A lot of you don't believe this about yourselves. A lot of you believe you're less than, or that you're not good enough, or you're not strong, or you're not a warrior, or you're not ascending, and you're not all these things. And in reality, you're just thinking about it too much. You got to be about this ascension. You got to be about yourself. And one of the best ways to be about yourself is to take care of yourself. And one of the ways to do that is by consuming information, knowledge, resource, content that will allow you to give yourself a break when going through all this stuff. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing moving forward with Light Warriors Academy and Army of Energy in general. And if there's anybody out there that wants to make their own content but doesn't want to produce it, let me know. I love producing content. I'm looking for content creators for the Army of Energy, solo videos, research videos, singing, painting, dancing. I don't care what it is. Let's be the beacons of light, be the beacons of change, and show the rest of humanity how it's done. I could really use your help. Again, if you liked what you've seen and heard today, hit that like button. If you think anybody could benefit from this, definitely share this video. Check us out on Telegram, t.me/Army of Energy chat. Check out our Instagram content at Army of Energy. And if you could possibly, don't feel inclined to, don't feel pressured, but if you could help us out by donating to our work, then we will be able to do even more stuff moving forward. Start traveling, start going to different resources in person, making high-end content, courses, books, audios. It's all coming, people. And I'm super excited to be here with you. I'm super excited that the energy family is growing. And I'm so proud of every single one of you. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have an even better evening. And I will talk to you again sometime soon. Take care and goodbye.